My name is Alexis Spring. I'm going to be teaching my dad today.
Hello.
And I'm going to be discussing the structures of business, how they operate, and how they're formed. So I'll mainly be addressing the traditional forms of the organizational structure for a business, and then I'll touch on the newer contemporary and team-based styles for organizational structure. However, my main focus will be on those traditional structures. So the main thing that managers look to include in their management style, those structures, are the planning, the organizing, the leading, and the controlling. So I'm going to focus on the organizing part for this lecture. The process of organizing involves coordinating and allocating a firm's resources so that the firm can carry out its plans to achieve its goals. So there are three main parts to a successful organizational process. Number one is determining the work activities and dividing up tasks, which is the division of labor. Number two is grouping jobs and employees, which is departmentalization. And number three is assigning authority and responsibilities, which is delegation. So the result of those three things put together should be a formal structure within the organization, the order and design of relationships within a company and a firm. More specifically, it consists of two or more people working together with a common objective and a clarity of purpose. These formal organizations also have well-defined lines of authority, channels for information flow, and means of control. Does that make sense so far?
It does.
Okay. So an important thing to remember is that every single organization, past, present, and future, will have some variant of structure that supports it. Whether that structure be a traditional structure, a contemporary structure, or team-based, they're a common factor in every single successful organization. So just to give a quick overview of the different types of structure for organizations, first is the traditional structure, which I'm going to be talking about the most. And those are more rigid and group employees by function, products, processes, customers, or regions. And then you have the contemporary and team-based structures, which are more flexible and assemble employees to respond quickly to dynamic business environments. So managers often base their structural styles off of what kind of organization they want to operate. So if they operate in a more dynamic environment, they'll often choose the more contemporary or team-based structure just because it's more flexible and you can make small changes to adjust to the environment you exist in. However, if the climate's more kind of stagnant and nothing big really ever changes, I'll probably go with that traditional structure because it has just a solid sort of base. So there's no real room for change, which is good in these kind of situations. So one of the most important aspects of organizational structure is that of the division of labor within the organization. So like I said earlier, the division of labor is sort of just the process of dividing the work into separate jobs and assigning tasks to workers. So you can have a big corporation and it can have like 1,000 employees or so, but it'll have different groups of these employees that will work in different areas and do different things. And the degree to which these tasks are subdivided is called specialization. So while some jobs may require these highly specialized units, which in some cases can be a good thing, it can also be a bit of a con, because if the tasks are too highly specialized, the workers can get really bored with the same job just day in and day out. But a good level of specialization, like if you had the perfect level, you'd have just enough change in the day-to-day that the workers didn't get bored or just feel like they were doing the same thing every single day, but that they still had the ability to hone their skills in a certain area. So to get to my main topic, which is of course the traditional structures of organization, I'm going to start with departmentalization. So departmentalization, boiled down to its basics, is the grouping of people, tasks, and resources into organizational units. So this particular style is really helpful. It aids with that process I was talking about earlier, the planning, leading, and control processes. It kind of propels those along and helps them to just sort of fall into place a lot easier. So there are 5 different types of departmentalization. There's functional, product, process, customer, and geographic. So first you have functional departmentalization, which is based on the primary functions performed within an organizational unit. So it would have a president at the top of the company who oversees the departments like marketing, finance, and human resources. So I feel like most of these are going to be pretty self-explanatory, but this one, of course, it bases these units off of the function of each unit. So you'd have a unit that takes care of one specific thing and another one that takes care of another specific thing. And then second, we have product departmentalization, which is based on the goods or services produced or sold by each organizational unit. So think of the way that a hospital is structured. You have the head of the hospital who oversees each of the heads of each department who oversee their own patients. So it's kind of similar. These are all kind of very similar with some slight differences just in what exactly each unit is based on. So third is the process departmentalization, which is based on the production process used by each organizational unit. So these departments are based on the process of distribution for a product. So they could resemble something like lumber cutting and treatment to furniture finishing to shipping, which I think is most similar to the functional departmentalization. They're both very similar, but this one is more in, I guess, chronological order. So it kind of, it uses the process by which the product is made, as opposed to just the different parts of selling the product, I guess. And then we have second to last, the customer departmentalization, which, as the name suggests, is based on the primary type of customer served by each organizational unit. So these departments would probably be wholesale and retail units. So the wholesale would, of course, sell to, they'd sell to the bigger companies like Walmart or Target, and the retail units would just sell to individual customers. And lastly is the geographic departmentalization, which bases its departments on where the unit pertains to, like US marketing and European marketing and Asian marketing and so on and so forth. So overall, departmentalization is usually centered on where, how, and for whom the products or services are made. Another traditional structure of organization is line and staff. You've probably heard of line organization, which line and staff sort of branches off of that. Line organization is where the company creates a direct, clear line of authority and communication flowing from the top managers downward. So this means that the managers would have control over all activities, including the administrative duties. Line and staff organizations, however, add staff positions to that original design. So these provide specialized advisory and support services to line managers. In daily operations, individuals in line positions are directly involved in the process used to create goods and services. So usually found in the production, finance, and marketing areas. So the line positions are more number oriented, I suppose. They more do the busy work, I guess you could say, while the staff positions provide the administrative and support services that line employees need to achieve the firm's goals. So these staff positions are usually found in like legal counseling, managerial counseling, public relations, and human resource management. So you have line, which works with more of the paper and the numbers and all that, and then you have the staff positions, which deal with people as opposed to the numbers. So these two, they really sort of balance each other out, because with only one of those things, you would have to force someone who's really good with numbers to work with people or vice versa. So having these two separate positions really helps those people to work in a place where they're more comfortable and where they feel like they can do a better job. So in conclusion, you have two main types of these traditional structures for business organization: departmentalization and line and staff. So both of these types rely on structure and are relatively strict in their organization. They don't really allow for a lot of shift in the positions for each unit/employee, which is why they really do thrive in these sort of more stagnant climates, because they don't need to account for a lot of change in something that doesn't really change very much. That's all. Any questions?
No, very good. I got it.